All right. You got an announcement on 7 and 8. Bernard Crocker, Garrett.
Yes.
Mackey. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. So for position 7, I'll be covering for Attorney Pinto for this hearing, but she'll remain the attorney of record. And then for position 8, Attorney Wood said she filed an ex parte, so that position should be removed. I believe she also stated that she sent you an email, Your Honor.
Okay. That's it. Did we already sign the ex parte, or do I need to sign it?
That I'm unaware of. She just stated that she wanted me to make the announcement and that she had sent you an email.
Okay, got it. Yeah. All right. All right, so position 8's off and position 7, you're covering that, right?
Correct.
All right. And there's an officer there. What case is that officer here for?
Position 6, Sean Jackson.
Is that the only one officer?
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. And Your Honor, for position 1, Ms. Safarazzi will be covering for Attorney Korea Jameson, and she's en route.
Okay. All right, Mr. McCauley, any announcements on any of these?
Yes, Your Honor. In position number 1, Officer Sparks, Richard Sparks with Marto, I just spoke with him. He's on an elevator as of right now. I know he's in position 1, but I'm also going to ask that he goes first. He's in some kind of training that he needs to return to. Position number 2, the officer is Matthew Gordon. He's in training at this time. He'll be done today, but he will not be here for this hearing because of the training. Position number 3, I did not make personal contact with. Position number 4 is Dylan Davis, and I just spoke with him on the phone. I was letting him know that it was quorum 8A. He is just parking. He should be here in a few minutes.
Hey, but Ms. Watts, isn't that one the one that's continued?
Let me double check that just to be sure.
Johnson.
If it is, I will let the officer know also.
Okay. About number 5.
Number 5, that is CJ Reese, REECE with Roswell. I left a message on personal cell phone and I also emailed them, but I did not make it was a response to my email or my voicemail. Position 7 will
Up
be
there on the
Officer Bell.
He's right there in the courtroom. Right?
Are you Officer Bill? Okay. Officer Reese. Okay.
Okay. So Reese is here. Okay.
All right. So yeah. Ms. Watts, Xavier Johnson's.
Yes, that's the one judge that we're going to remove from the calendar, but we're going to give a court date on record.
Yeah.
In July.
Okay, yeah, so Xavier Johnson, so you can let that officer know that there was ex parte, so it's got to be moved to July.
Do you know the date in July? If I could just go ahead and let him know now when I call him, please.
Okay, does July the 13th work?
Can I have before can I get him on the phone if that's okay? Just because I don't know if he have anything booked during that time. Would that be okay, Judge Manning?
Sure. I mean, she asked
Okay.
for 3 months, so.
Okay, give me one moment.
Give you 1 month for us to give you a date, or go ahead and give a date?
Can I get in contact with the officer just to make sure he doesn't have a conflict for that date of July the 13th?
Okay,
I'm calling him right now, Your Honor.
okay.
Judge Manning, this is the court reporter. Can I get the spelling of the attorney that is for position 1? I believe she's en route.
Oh, Sarfarasi or Sarfarasi? Oh,
Yes, yes.
I gotta cheat and look on a piece of
I
paper.
have it. Last name Sarfarazi, Sarfarazi. First name Parisa, if that matters, Parisa. She's just now walked in.
Thank you.
Good morning. I believe you're gonna go first, because your officer has training. Go first, because your officer has training. Yeah.
Well, I say that, but there's not an officer in there that's worked overnight, right?
Have any of you worked overnight? No.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked
I can't hear what they're saying. If anybody worked overnight, they can actually go very first if they've been up all night.
No one has.
Okay.
Your Honor, I didn't make personal contact with the officer. He might actually be like on like the elevator or something like that. And I understand it's being moved, but I just want to make sure he, July, big vacation day, month, so to speak. So before we set that, I just want to make sure he's not having vacation or training at that time, if that's okay.
All right. So do we have a deputy that can bring Mr. Murphy in? Ms. Watts, is there a deputy up there that can bring Mr. Murphy in?
I have not seen a deputy yet, Judge.
Did they go in and out of the back and out of the room?
Have you all seen what I haven't
She
seen?
went through the door with the inmate, so I'm assuming maybe she's grabbing them or.
Okay. Was it LT?
So a couple more officers are there. Which officers on which one? Besides number 1. We got number 1 and number. Number 6.
Okay, Judge, everybody's up.
All right, can we get position 1, Audie Murphy?
Okay.
All right, Officer Sparks.
Yes, ma'am.
You going to go up to the witness stand?
Bring out Ollie Murphy.
All right, you raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, before Mr. Murphy gets ahead, can you state your name and spell it for the court reporter, please?
Corporal Richard Sparks, Richard RICHARD, Sparks SPARKS.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Alfarasi, bond was addressed on the 6th on this. He's got a $15,000 good bond, so unless we add charges or something's dismissed, we can address it, but if not.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Morning, LT.
Good morning.
All right, this position 1, Audie Murphy, 22 CP 212-845, 195 days without indictment, charged with aggravated assault. There's a $15,000 good bond as of April the 6th. Go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Corporal Sparks, where are currently employed?
Marta Police Department.
And were you employed with them on October the 2nd, 2022?
Yes, sir.
And how did you become aware of Audie Murphy?
I was dispatched to a call on East Main Street side on that date regarding a male brandishing a knife on another male. I came in contact with a Mr. McCoy, and he stated that a black male, I forgot the description that he gave, but it's in my report. Brandished the knife on him unprovoked. And based on that description, I was able to locate Mr. Murphy. Mr. Murphy was taken in custody without incident. And on his person was a pocket knife and a box cutter, in which Mr. McCoy stated that he had previous before.
And can you please state and spell the victim's name?
Now look at my report.
Please do.
Victim last name is McCoy, McCoy. First name is Barron, Barron.
Okay. And you had stated in regards to a description that was given in regards to the defendant. Do you have any information in regards to what that description was?
Yes, can I look at my notes?
Please do.
While he's looking, Mr. McCauley, Ms. Watts said the officer's here for Xavier Johnson.
Okay.
So that date, July the 13th, works for you, officer?
I didn't make personal contact with him.
No, Mr. McCauley, hold on. The officer's in the courtroom.
Officer Davis, correct?
Yes.
You're on Xavier Johnson case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does July 13th work for you to come back to court?
Sure.
You have a vacation or anything scheduled for that week?
I have a vacation in June.
In June? Okay. So he said July 13th works for him for a reset.
Perfect. Sir, officer, you want 9 a.m. or 1 p.m.?
1 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Watts can sign something for you if you need it. All right, go ahead, Mr. McCauley. Go ahead, officer.
Yes. Officer, how did the victim identify Audie Murphy?
He stated that the male had dreads, wearing all black with a red shirt, and that's the exact same description that I came in contact when I located Mr. Murphy.
And where did the incident happen at?
At the College Park train station,
What county is that in?
Fulton.
Was it captured on video?
There was a portion captured in regards to a conversation, but the actual display of the knife was not captured.
Did the victim describe the knife?
Yes, in his statement.
How did he describe the knife?
Can I look at his statement?
Please.
He described the box cutter as red and also the knife with a silver blade.
When you made contact with Mr. Murphy, did he match the description that was given by the victim?
Yes, sir.
And how did he match it?
He was a black male with dreads, wearing all black with a red shirt.
Objection. This is asked and answered. He's already repeated this before.
Okay. Did you recover a knife?
Yes, sir.
Again, y'all, asked and answered. He's already covered that.
You want to ask specifics about the knife, Mr. McCauley?
Yes. What color was the knife that was recovered?
Can I look at my property sheet?
Yes.
There was a black knife and a red and black box cutter.
And did you discuss what happened with the victim?
Briefly, he just stated that conversation between him and Mr. Murphy was unprovoked, and he just ran up to him brandishing the knife saying, "I will kill you."
And did you discuss what happened with Mr. Murphy?
No, sir.
Did anybody discuss what happened with Mr. Murphy?
No, sir. During the actual apprehension of Mr. Murphy, it was our belief that he was suffering from a mental health episode during that day.
I'm sorry, sir. I missed that. Can you say that one more time? He was suffering from what?
A mental health episode that day. He wouldn't speak to us. He wouldn't give his name or anything like that.
Did the victim, Baron McCoy, identify Audie Murphy as the person who brandished the knife?
Yes, sir.
And how did he do that identification?
It was a show up.
And please tell me what happened with the show up.
Once Mr. Murphy was in custody, Mr. Murphy was with another officer in the vehicle and rode past and acknowledged that Mr. Murphy was the person who brandished the knife.
Do you see Mr. Murphy in the courtroom at this time?
Yes, sir.
Can you please describe an article of clothing that he is wearing?
He's wearing a dark colored jumpsuit.
May the court recognize he has positively identified the defendant?
Noted.
Was the knife taken into evidence?
Yes, sir.
Did the victim, Mr. McCoy, suffer any injuries?
No, sir.
Was there any witnesses to the interaction?
No, sir.
Did Mr. McCoy discuss any feelings in regards to when the knife was brandished?
No, the only thing he stated was he believed he was mental health.
I'm sorry, and it might be me. Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. My apologies.
The only thing Mr. McCoy stated that he believed Murphy was mental health.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Cross.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning, Officer Sparks. Okay, so you reported to the scene based on a 911 call, correct?
Yes, I was dispatched.
Okay, and when you reported the scene, initially, Mr. McCoy wasn't there, correct?
No, Mr. McCoy wasn't.
He was there. Okay. Was Mr. Murphy there? Okay, so when you located Mr. Murphy, was he still at the train station or was he somewhere else?
I'm sorry.
When you located Mr. Murphy, was he at the train station or did you locate him somewhere else?
He was across the street.
Across the street? So how far was he from the incident location to where you recovered him?
You can literally see straight across.
Okay.
There's two-lane road or railroad track, and you can see straight across.
Okay. How long do you think it would take to get from one location to the other?
30 seconds.
Okay. All right. So when you reported the scene, you spoke with Mr. McCoy, the complaining witness in this case, correct?
Correct.
And so he told you that someone brandished a knife.
Correct.
Did he give any reasons on if there was a discussion or animosity prior to a brandishing of a knife?
No, not from what I recall. He stated that it came out of nowhere, and he was able to provide a clear description of Mr. Murphy.
Okay, and so you looked at the surveillance camera, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and so the camera indicates there's some type of discussion between Mr. McCoy and Mr. Murphy, correct? Okay, so leading up to that, who approached who?
Mr. Murphy approached Mr. McCoy.
Okay, and you don't know what reason that was for, right? Okay, and how long were they talking?
If I couldn't tell you. It wasn't long at all.
Okay, and then Mr. Murphy walks away?
Correct.
Okay, now does he run away or does he walk away?
Cannot recall.
Okay, and so you can't recall how long that whole encounter was?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and on that surveillance video, you didn't see any weapon, correct? Okay. Okay, and so you recovered a knife, correct? What color was the knife again?
It was a black knife with a red and black box cutter.
The black knife with the red and box cutter?
It was a knife and a box cutter.
So-
That was on his person.
Okay, now Mr. McCoy did indicate he saw two knives, correct?
He wrote about the knife and the box cutter in his statement.
Mr. McCoy did?
Yes.
Okay, because he didn't testify to that earlier today. Okay, so you're saying that Mr. McCoy had seen two different knives.
That's what's in the statement.
Okay, and he identified them both. One was a red and black knife, and the other one was a black knife.
In his statement, it's red. In the statement, he said red box cutter and a knife.
Okay. So when you did a show up, correct? Now, when you did the show up, Mr. Murphy, he was in a squad car, a patrol car.
Yes.
Okay, was he handcuffed?
No, I'm sorry. Mr. Murphy was not in a squad car. He was standing up. Mr. McCoy was across the street, rolled by in a squad car, and was able to identify Mr. Murphy.
Okay, so Mr. Murphy was standing by a patrol car.
No.
Was he in handcuffs?
Yes.
Were there other officers around him?
Yes.
Was this a one-person show up? Was it only Mr. Murphy was the person in handcuffs, or were there someone else in handcuffs as well during this show up?
No. It was Mr. Murphy.
Okay. And so did you do the show? Did you conduct the show up?
I did not conduct the show.
Hold on a second, officer, you gotta speak a little louder, officer, because you're kind of dropping your voice when you lean back.
Is that better?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I was standing by with Mr. Murphy, me and another officer, and a supervisor was with Mr. McCoy doing the show up.
Okay. Who was that supervisor? That was with Mr. McCoy.
Sergeant Didell.
And do you know if he was wearing his body camera at that time?
Far as I know, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you have preserved that body camera of the show up?
It should have been attached, yes.
Okay. Now, were you wearing your body camera as soon as you reported to this incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it was playing the whole time?
Yes, ma'am.
So all your interactions with Mr. McCoy are on this body camera?
Yes.
And all your interactions with Mr. Murphy are on this body camera, correct? Okay. So when you initially met up with Mr. Murphy, he was across the street, you said, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, did he resist you guys?
No.
Okay, so he cooperated with you guys?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
And he didn't make any statements, correct?
No, ma'am.
Did you Mirandize him at any time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And did you search him at the MARTA station, or did you search him at the police station?
We searched him where we took him into custody, which was across the street from the station.
Okay. And so that's where you recovered the knives?
Correct.
And you submitted those to evidence, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you believed, based on your interactions with Mr. Murphy, that he might be mental health?
Yes.
And that was also something the complaining witness had indicated?
Correct.
Okay. And you said there was no witnesses to this incident other than Mr. McCoy?
Correct.
Did you preserve that video image, the video from the MARTA station?
Yes, ma'am. It should have been. Yes, ma'am.
It should have been, or you did preserve it?
I cannot recall.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Did you ever, based on your understanding that potentially Mr. Murphy was mental health, did you ever radio for Grady?
No, ma'am.
Did you radio for any type of doctor's help, a psychiatrist, or anything of that nature?
No, ma'am.
So you just put him in cuffs and put him in the jail?
It didn't happen in that manner, but yes.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. Is there anything that you want to ask? No, you had said on direct earlier that Mr. Murphy, Mr. Murphy had allegedly said something about killing. Now that wasn't on any type of recording, correct? And there was no witnesses, correct?
Correct.
So there was no corroboration to Mr. McCoy's statements about that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
All right, any redirect?
No redirect at this time, Your Honor.
All right, this officer be excused.
I ask that this
Thank you.
officer be excused, Your Honor.
All right, officer, thank you. Stay safe out there. All right,
Thank you.
I submit on the evidence, Your Honor, and I'll respond to an argument if the defense counsel has one.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Alfarasi.
Your Honor, we do submit on the evidence. The only thing that I would like to point out is that apparently this interaction between Mr. McCoy and Mr. Murphy was captured on the surveillance camera. And at no point is there a visible knife? So there seems to be an interaction between them. At no point can you actually see a knife. So we would just submit that probable cause hasn't been based on that.
All right. All right.
My argument.
But you submit on the evidence. I found probable cause on aggravated assault. There was, is there going to be an ex parte or anything on this one, or?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor. I'm just covering for Attorney Correa today.
Okay, well, tell her to reach out to myself, Mr. McCauley, or somebody if we need to sign an ex parte or, I don't know, do anything, because I got it right now at, he's got a $15,000 bond?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. I'll tell Ms. Correa, and she has more exposure with Mr. Murphy, so she'll know if that's appropriate or not to do an ex parte.
Right. Thank you for filling in. I appreciate it, Ms. Alfarasi.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Who else we got there? We got Officer Bill, right, for Sean Jackson?
It's Chelsea Keys, Your Honor.
Okay.
No, you're not even indicted yet. This just means there's enough evidence to keep the case open.
Microphones up live, Ms. Alfarasi.
Unindicted.
Microphones live, Ms. Alfarasi.
I'm so sorry.
All right.
It just means that there's enough evidence.
And it's sensitive, Ms. Alfarasi. Maybe you want to walk them over to the door because we can still.
There's no, okay. It's back on.
Yeah. Sean Jackson, LT.
Sean Jackson coming out. Sean Jackson coming out.
All right. Officer, if you raise your right hand. You swear firm testimony about to give is truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you state your name, spell it for the court reporter until the defendant gets out here, please.
Yes, Chelsea Keys, CHELSIE, Keys, KEYS.
All right. All right. Stand by when Mr. Jackson gets out here. We'll go ahead and continue. Let me see, Ms. Kimber.
Good morning, ma'am. Is it officer? Is it detective? I just want to always make sure I just say it's officer.
Hold on one second. Wait, on. There you go. All right, let's see. And do you want to go ahead and address bond, Ms. Kennebrew? He's got a $17,500 good bond as of March 21st.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. This is position 622 CP 214352. Sean Jackson, 135 days without indictment. Financial transaction card theft, criminal trespass, giving false information, theft of lost or mislaid property. Go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes. Officer Keys, where are you currently employed?
Georgia State University Police Department.
And were you employed with them on November the 30th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
And how did you become aware of Sean Marcellus Jackson?
Yeah, so I was dispatched to our student center, which is Student Center West, located on campus, in regards to a student saying that she had given Mr. Jackson $250 back in August, and she wanted to go meet with him. At that time, she said that he was located on the third floor of our lobby in Student Center West, and another officer arrived on scene, and we all walked up together. At that time, she was able to point out Mr. Jackson. He was asleep in one of our student center chairs, and she approached him while we stood back and let her talk to him. And at that point, I intervened and asked Mr. Jackson at that time for his ID. He said he did not have an ID on him. I asked if he was a Georgia State student. He told me that he was not. And he had a lanyard that was on his persons, which had a lot of cards on it, but he refused to show me. I asked if he can give me his name, date of birth, and on paper, which he did, but he gave me a name by Sean Morrison with a date of birth of February 2nd, February the 4th, 1990 at that time.
And can you spell the name that he gave you out, please?
Yes, Sean, Sean, at the time, Morrison, Morrison.
Please go ahead.
What'd you
After
say?
he gave you the name, what happened next?
Oh, so yeah, we just continued to stand by, let them talk. They were pretty much talking back and forth. He was telling her that he was unable to get her money because he hadn't been able to get in touch with the people that he went through. She really couldn't explain the situation in detail. Pretty much she was on a website, a government website, where she had won some government gifts. She met him one day, they met up, had lunch, and she ended up giving him the $250. I guess he told her that he could get her items shipped over here faster. He had family that can get her items shipped over, which she never received her items. At that point, she wanted her money back.
And then what happened next after you learned that information?
So I still was asking for his identification. The name wasn't coming back when it was ran through GCIC, NCIC, and the officer on scene, he asked if they can do a criminal trespass warrant check, which it did come back to being active. He was issued one on November 23rd, 2022 by another officer. At that time, he was arrested for the criminal trespass, not for the initial call.
And after he was arrested, what was the next steps that you all did?
Yeah, so he was arrested, and during our search, we found a wallet which had the name Sean Jackson and with the correct date of birth, January 4th, 1990, along with 4 other ID cards that didn't belong to him, laptops, cell phones, a credit card that belonged to a Sandria M. Nason. It was verified through Wells Fargo that the card had been reported stolen.
And for the record, do you have a spelling that for the person that was on that card?
For the Wells Fargo card?
Yes, please.
Sandria, Sanria, I believe it was N. Mason. It was the initial N, and then Mason, Mason.
And did you all make any contact with Ms. Mason?
We did not. Wells Fargo said that they couldn't give us any further information because the card was pretty much canceled and they couldn't disclose that information, but it was reported stolen.
And did you reach out to Wells Fargo?
Yes.
And what did you learn when speaking with representatives from Wells Fargo?
Me personally, I did not speak to Wells Fargo, but I was standing right there whenever the officer on scene called Wells Fargo to verify.
Okay. And what did the officer verify?
That it was reported stolen. They couldn't give any further information.
Okay. And so I know you said he had multiple cards. I don't understand that the Wells Fargo card was Miss Mason. How many other cards did he have?
So he had 4 other cards, including the caller, which is the Georgia State student, Miss Agnes Soar. He had her Panther card on his persons. He had 3 other cards that were, can't recall the names, but they were from different universities on his persons during
And
the
what kind
time
of
of
cards are
search.
these? Are these ID
Student
cards?
cards, student cards.
Student cards.
Yes, sir.
Did he have permission to have her card?
We do not know. We were trying to figure out how he was able to have her card. She said she don't know how he had her card.
Did she give him her card at any time?
I can't recall.
And the other student cards, were they for Georgia State?
No, sir. They were for another campus. I can't remember which one, what campuses were on those cards. But I know she was the only one from Georgia State.
And with these cards, I understand that student cards may be different. Is it a debit card? Is it a credit card identification? Can you explain a little bit more, please?
So these were just student cards where you can have access to built doors. You could swipe into different areas. I'm not sure if these were the cards where like we have where you could put money on it and also use it as an ID card to purchase stuff.
Did you speak with Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
And what did you learn when speaking with Mr. Jackson?
I learned that he and Miss Agnes have been going back and forth for quite a while about the money situation. They have been in contact through text, talking in person about getting her money back. He said that he was unable to get in contact with the number. Every time he calls the number, they weren't answering the phone. And she said that when she would see him, he would avoid talking to her. He would just tell her, I haven't got it yet. Pretty much the runaround from both ends.
And was you able to determine, was he a student at Georgia State?
No, sir.
And were you able to determine who was the owner of the laptop and cell phones?
We were not. Those items were placed in evidence. It was a laptop, I believe, 4 cell phones, a lanyard with the GSU access card, and also there was something else that he had that was found.
And it is one criminal charge for theft of lost or mislaid property. What was that warrant for in regards to the property?
That might have been the financial transaction card. We weren't able to identify if the laptop, phones, or anything else was stolen. They were placed in evidence.
Was you able to determine if Mr. Jackson ever had any kind of relationship with Miss Mason?
No.
Was you able to determine if Miss Mason gave Mr. Jackson her debit card?
No.
What is the address of the building that this occurred in?
Center West. It could be Decatur. I'm not sure about the exact address, but it could be Decatur and either Decatur or North Collins. That would be where Student Center West is located.
Did you write the criminal warrants?
I did not. Another officer did.
Are you the author of the criminal warrants?
He said no.
Oh, yes. I thought you were talking about the criminal trespass. Sorry.
Okay. And if you read your criminal warrant, would it refresh your recollection as to the address that this occurred at?
I don't know the exact address.
Ma'am, he said if you saw the criminal warrant, would it refresh your recollection of the address?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go ahead, share your screen, Mr. McCauley.
Are you able to see it?
There's something in the middle. Here, Gilmer Street. I'm not sure if I pressed.
Can you not see the sharing the screen?
I do see it, but there's a live stream meeting in the middle. But I do see Gilmer Street. That is the correct address.
Okay.
Just can't see the exact number.
I'm sorry. I think something is blocking her on the screen that she's seeing, Your Honor.
Yeah, that address is correct. Does that say 55 Gilmer?
Yes.
That's correct.
I'm gonna stop sharing at this time, Your Honor.
Okay.
And what county is that in?
Fulton.
Were you post certified at the time of this investigation?
Yes.
And do you see Mr. Sean Marcellus Jackson in the courtroom at this time?
Everybody can remove their mask, please. Everybody remove your mask.
Yes, I do.
And can you please describe an article of clothing he is wearing?
He's wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Can the court recognize she has positively identified the defendant?
Noted.
I have no further questions at this time.
All right, Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning, Officer Keys. Were there any other officers present when you arrested Mr. Jackson?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the name of the other officer?
Officer Dolson.
Can you spell that for me?
Yes, it's Dolson. Officer Dolson.
All right, and during direct, you said that you spoke with a student who stated that she had given some money to Mr. Jackson. You guys stood back and let them talk. Then you asked him for ID. Why did you ask him for identification?
Because it's policy, one of our Georgia state policies, that if you're residing in any of our buildings, you have to identify that you are a student, faculty, or staff.
Now, when the student requested police assistance, she was trying to get assistance and getting, I guess, her money returned to her. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. So she had told me the story from the beginning. She said that she gave him the money back in August, and they had been in communication through text. She saw him around on campus a few times. Each time they saw each other in person, it was that he couldn't get her money back, or he was unable to get through to get her money back. And she just wanted an officer to be there while she approached him to try to get her money back. So that's why I was dispatched to that call that day, because she saw him on the third floor and wanted an officer to just be there while she tried to talk to him.
Okay. Did you ask the student to verify who Mr. Jackson was or to give his name?
No. She just kept saying that he's here.
But she never stated his name specifically?
Yes. She did, when she approached him, she did say the name Sean.
Okay.
But she never came out and told us.
Okay, and so you were there essentially to observe. So at what point did it go from you observing her interaction with Mr. Jackson to you requesting the identification and then approaching him?
So when she
Objection
approached
to act
him,
answered, Your Honor. She already
Go ahead.
she already stated that it is their policy to go ahead and check the IDs to make sure that they are a student, staff, or a professor there. So she already stated that, Your Honor, why she actually asked for his ID.
All right. Ask and answer. Go ahead, Ms. Kennebrew. Next.
Okay. So after you requested his identification, was he detained or under arrest?
no, ma'am. So the moment I asked for his identification, well, the reason I went ahead on and asked, because that's like I said, after I asked if he's a student, faculty, or staff, he was trying to leave. And that's when I was like, hey, are you a student? And he said no. And I asked if I could get his ID, but she refused. He said he did not have one. I asked about the lanyard that was hanging out of his pants because it said GSU. The lanyard was blue, had car keys on it. So I was like, well, what's the lanyard? Do you have IDs? Like, do you have a card on that? He said, no. Why do I have to show you this? And it went from that to that. So one thing led to another.
Yeah. So was he detained or under arrest at that point?
The moment it came back that he had an active CTW, which is a criminal trespass warning, he was under arrest.
So I'm specifically asking, when you requested his identification, was he under
No.
arrest or under detention?
No, he was at that point detained.
And you stated that he was trying to leave. So at that point, he is under detention. He is unable to leave.
Yes, because now it turned into an investigation.
How were you made aware that Mr. Jackson was given a previous criminal trespass warning?
Through our headquarters, GSU headquarters, they said that he had an active CTW that was issued on November 23rd, 2022 by another officer, Officer Brooks.
And did Mr. Jackson sign for this trespass warning?
Yes.
Did you ask Mr. Jackson how he came to have the identification cards on him?
No.
And were you aware that 2 of the 4 alleged victims were his child's mother as well as her daughter?
Objection, assuming facts not in evidence.
Ms. Kennebrew.
Well, I'm sorry. 2 of the alleged victims I've been in contact with Mrs. Shanae Wilson as well as Shania Wilson. I am aware that they do have 2 children together.
Okay, but he only asked about one person in the relationship. So what's?
He asked on direct, he asked who the
Agnes
4 ID cards belonged to from the theft or mislaid property. She stated that Agnes Nasor was the GSU student, but the other cards were not from that campus and they weren't aware. So I'm just trying to ask if she was aware of that, the fact that they 2 of them were somebody that he knew.
That's a negative.
all right.
Did you make contact with any of the other alleged victims?
No, there was no way to contact. There were ID cards. They weren't, they didn't have any numbers.
And were you aware whether or not the ID cards were reported stolen?
No.
And did you ask Mr. Jackson who the bank card belonged to?
No. These are things that were just found on this person during the time of being searched.
And did Mr. Jackson make any statements to you about the actual bank card or the ID cards?
No, ma'am.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Let me redirect, Your Honor.
All right, anything else for this officer?
Nothing
No,
else
Your
from this
Honor.
officer for me. I ask I should be allowed to leave, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, officer. Stay safe out there.
All right, thank you.
All right, go ahead with argument.
Your Honor, it was when she actually approached him, he did give a false name. He gave Sean Morrison with a birth date of February 4th, 1990. Also, they were able to determine that the Wells Fargo card with the name of Miss Mason was not his. It was a verified stolen card. They actually reached out to Wells Fargo. They verified that it was stolen, verified that the card was not that of the defendant, Your Honor. He once again did give a false name. The officer did try to determine did he have permission to have the card, and no information was given by him. And also, Your Honor, and running his name, she was able to find that he already was issued a criminal trespass warning on November the 22nd, 2022, Your Honor. So I ask that the court find probable cause for all charges before the court.
Go ahead, Ms. Kennebrew.
We submit to the testimony, Your Honor.
All right, we'll find probable cause on everything. As of November the 21st, there is a $17,500 good bond.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Gordon.
The defendant has 12 cycles beginning in 2012. Last arrest was April of 2022 from Chatham County for a violation of probation. Record also indicates 2015 felony conviction from Chatham County for 3 counts of theft by taking. A 2015 felony conviction, Chatham County, for 3 counts of financial transaction card theft. A 2015 felony conviction from Chatham County for first-degree burglary, 5 counts of financial transaction card theft, and first-degree forgery, 4 violations of probation. Misdemeanor convictions: 2012 theft of lost or mislaid property out of Chatham County, 2013 theft by shoplifting, Chatham County, 2014 theft by shoplifting, Chatham County, and giving false name to law enforcement officer, and a 2015 theft by taking misdemeanor conviction also out of Chatham County, as well as giving false name. Nothing further to add, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Kennebrew.
Your Honor, Mr. Jackson is 33 years of age. He's been in Georgia for the past 9 years. His mother, as well as his children, live here in Georgia. He does have 2 children, as well as a child that he provides for, so a 3rd child as well. The 2 children are twins, and they are under the age of 1. He did receive a bachelor's in journalism from Howard University. He was working prior to being incarcerated as a shift manager at H&M. We are asking for a bond not to exceed $10,000, Your Honor. He is currently indigent. He does not currently have a job, and he is residentially challenged. However, we're working on that. His mother did say that he could stay with him. She just has to get back with me with an address because she is in the process of moving. So we're asking for something low that he would actually be able to potentially make.
So when he was booked in, there was a McDonough address. Is that where his mother lives, in McDonough?
No, the McDonough address is for the children's mother.
So what county?
Shanae Wilson.
What county does his mother live in?
She didn't tell me again. She said she was in the process of moving, and I spoke to her yesterday.
You ask him what county? I mean, is she staying in that same county? Does he have any idea?
In Fulton. So Henry County is where your mother lives? Yeah. Okay. Well, he's saying Henry County.
Okay.
I don't know how valid that is.
Go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. What I will say is, we had a concern for the public in regards to, and also public property, Your Honor, in regards to his history and several convictions he do have in regards to finances in some kind of way, shape, or form. We are concerned not only with the public, but also the public property, Your Honor. And we would also like, and I know you will probably put it in anyway, stay away from the victim for the Wells Fargo card, also the student at Georgia State, also Georgia State University, Your Honor. And we will defer to the court in regards for the amount of bond.
Okay, so Ms. Kennebrew, my previous bond order says, so he has children with Shania and Shani Wilson.
So he has children with Shanae Wilson. Shania is her daughter, and she wants contact for both of them with him.
Okay, all right. So no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Sandria, Sandria, Mason, Kirk, Renard, Renard, Evans, Evans, and Agnes, Agnes, last name Nsor. No further violent contact and only contact with Shania, Shaniya, Wilson, and Shaney Wilson for child care and exchange purposes only. Stay away from Georgia State University. Stay away from 55 Gilmer Street. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You can have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Stay out of Fulton County, sir. The only reason you come to Fulton County is court or to see your lawyer. Fill up on gas, whatever you got to do in Henry County. Throw snacks in the car. No stop for gas, no stop for snacks or anything else. Straight to the court and back. Let's see. I got, all right, how about, he has a job. Is he going to get that same job back, Ms. Kennebrew?
I'm uncertain, Your Honor.
All right. So we had 5,000, 500, 500, and 500. 5,000, 500, 500, 500. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. We got let's see. All right, is the officer there for Bernard Crocker yet?
Yes, ma'am, he's here.
All right.
And Judge Rennie, before you start the next case, I just want to say, can I be excused?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Before-
Absolutely, Miss Sofferozzi. I'm sorry, you're still sitting there. Absolutely.
Thank you, Your Honor. I
Have a
just
good
want
week.
to Tom.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
What about the officer in this JB Brown case? Position 3.
Yes, MFON, last name is Eason, Essien. That's Fulton County Sheriff's Office. I didn't make personal contact with that officer, Your Honor.
The officers are here for position 5 and 7.
All right.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much, Ms. Kennebrew.
was the officer subpoenaed? I get you said no personal contact, but.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, the officer was subpoenaed. But the night before I reached out to all officers, I didn't make personal contact.
All right. What about Jesus Villanova? You bring them up?
Jesus.
And that's Reese, right? From
CJ
Roswell.
Reese from Roswell.
Come on up to the witness stand. And what about, so on this one where the deputy sheriff, since Mr. Nelson is here, where the deputy sheriff didn't show up for number 3 before they bring him out, because Mr. Nelson is standing, so let's handle it. What about that? Properly subpoenaed, make your argument. 22 CP 213460, 171 days without indictment, unlawful to knowingly remove, destroy, circumvent operation of electronic monitoring device as required.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, wait just one second. Sorry, Judge,
Oh.
was this, which position was this one?
Position
that we're
3.
doing?
Well, position 3, the officer's not there, so I'm just going to address that first.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. McCauley, about the officer in that one.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, in position number 3, the officer is MFON, last name is ESSIEN. He is with Fulton County Sheriff Office. He was properly subpoenaed by our office. That was sent out by Justin Tucker, who was our Assistant Chief of Investigations. This was sent out One moment. Sorry, Your Honor.
I know he's got another case, but if there's, just like to get rid of the stuff if we
I
can.
understand. I'm just pulling it up, Your Honor. Yes, it was sent out on Monday, Your Honor. At this time, he did not reach out to our investigator, Mr. Kendall Tucker, who was Assistant Chief of Investigations, and he did not reach out to me individually. He did not also reach out to our email that we have with fcda@prelimsubpoena.com that our communication go through for all subpoenas, Your Honor. At this time, the state will announce that we are not ready because our officer is not here and we are unable to proceed.
All right, LT, do you know this deputy?
What's his name again?
Eason, Essien.
First name? Give him first.
Is MFON.
Eason.
Is Eason?
It's EASSIN.
ESSIEN.
You know? No. Okay, I'll call Major and see what she can find out. And the last name is spelled MFON?
That's the first name, MFON. Last name is ESSIEN.
Okay, I'll check with the major, see what she can find out.
All right, you can't, go ahead though, Mr. Rhodes.
My client still isn't out yet.
Well, I know he's not, I'm just doing this. We'll
Yeah.
call him out on the other one and address it. I'm just saying, what's your position on number 3?
Well, yes, Judge. We'd asked for the case to be dismissed for want of prosecution. That officer, of course, had a duty to be here. He was subpoenaed. He was notified, and hasn't made any steps or strides or notice that he wouldn't appear or any reason why he wouldn't appear. Due to that unexcused absence on a subpoena, we asked for the case to be dismissed. That said, he does, of course, have another case that is holding him in, as well as an FTA. So it wouldn't be, I would argue it wouldn't be entirely, consequential if this case were dismissed as well.
Okay. All right, we'll see if that officer can get here, because I did forget he had another case, so she'll find out if that, that deputy sheriff, if not, if I grant one continuance for an officer to show up, is there a date that you prefer? We'll still be heard on bond on it if you'd like.
Sure, but I don't have a date in particular.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter. All right. Okay, well, we'll see what she finds out from then. Let's see.
And also, can I have a moment just to look through my information that I have also again, Your Honor, please?
All right, they're getting Mr. Mr. Villanova out.
Carlton.
And did the officer get there for Bernard Crocker?
Yes, ma'am, he's here.
All right, sweet. Now we're cooking with gas. All right, detective or officer, if you raise your right hand, you swear firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I swear.
All right, if you state your name and spell it for the court reporter, please.
Detective Justin Reese, JUSTIN REECE.
All right, this position 522 CP 214027, Jesus Villanova, 150 days without indictment. Trafficking in illegal drugs, trafficking in illegal drugs, trafficking in illegal drugs, and VGCSA possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute. Let me see. Is there a bond on this one? Sorry, Ms. Kennebrew, I had to.
No, Your Honor, there is. We had an ORCA motion on March 30th.
All right, March 30th. Depending if we need to address it again, we can.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, officer, where are you currently employed?
The Roswell Police Department.
And were you employed there on November the 15th, 2022?
I was.
And how did you become aware of Jesus Villanueva?
In July of 2022, we began receiving information from multiple sources regarding a methamphetamine dealer known to them as JB, who was selling methamphetamine laced with fentanyl. We'd had a series of overdoses in the hotel area of our corridor. I believe we had 7 or 8 within a month time frame. And they believed that the narcotics that he was selling was responsible for those overdoses. On July 27th, another concerned citizen came to the Roswell Police Department and spoke with a uniformed patrol officer who also identified a JB in a room that they believed they were staying in at Studio 6, provided the same information. They were selling methamphetamine laced with fentanyl, believed them to be responsible for the overdoses in the area. And then in August, Sergeant McNamara conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle that contained Jonathan Garcia and Mr. Jesus Villanueva. Mr. Villanueva was in possession of a digital scale, some drug ledgers, and some drug packaging materials in the vehicle. And he sent me that information from that traffic stop. We then had a confidential source that provided information that identified Mr. Jesus Villanueva as JB, as a methamphetamine dealer. The confidential source advised that they believed that the methamphetamine that Jesus Villanueva was selling was laced with fentanyl, and provided information that since the overdoses in the area in the past month and the police presence and the traffic stop, and Mr. Villanueva had since moved to the in-town suites in Cobb County. We then utilized that confidential source to conduct multiple controlled buys of methamphetamine, fentanyl, and pills from Mr. Jesus Villanueva and from an individual, Ismael David Flores, who Mr. Villanueva, the confidential source, made contact with Jesus Villanueva. Villanueva then sent Mr. David Flores in to deliver the narcotics. The last controlled buy that we conducted was at the public storage unit in the city of Roswell, Unit A103, with Mr. Jesus Villanueva. Following the controlled buy of narcotics at the storage unit, I made contact with employees who had identified the storage unit as belonging to Mr. Jesus Villanueva and confirmed that he was on the property earlier that date. I obtained a search warrant at that time for the storage unit and located a large amount of narcotics and a firearm.
And how many controlled buys in total was done with the confidential source?
I believe there were 7 controlled buys and then 2 controlled deliveries or payments for drugs that were not controlled buys on our half or on our behalf, but the confidential source had made contact not under our control or just seen Mr. Villanueva out. And Mr. Villanueva fronted narcotics, asking the confidential source to then sell them on his behalf. So we made payments, controlled payments for those 2. So 7 controlled buys, 2 controlled payments, I believe.
And can you please tell me what is the procedure for a controlled buy for the Roswell Police Department?
The confidential source, we meet with the confidential source, search them in their vehicle prior to any controlled buy to ensure they're not in possession of any weapons or contraband. They are then issued recorded City of Roswell funds. They are outfitted with an audio transmitting device to monitor their transactions for their safety and for evidentiary purposes. And then they are monitored all the way from the police department to the meet location where they meet with the target. Once the control buy is complete, we keep contact with the confidential source, do a meet location, recover the narcotics, search them again in their vehicle, ensure they're not in possession of any other weapons or contraband, debrief the confidential source at that point, and they're released.
And was that done with the confidential source in regards to this case?
It was.
And can you please discuss your training that you have in regards to illegal narcotics?
I've been in the narcotics unit since 2013. I have training in drug identification, working confidential sources, long-term, advanced undercover narcotics, basic narcotics. I'm also a member of the Georgia Gang Investigators Association and the Georgia Narcotics Officers Association, where I received training.
And did the confidential source identify Mr. Jesus Villanueva
They
as the
did.
person? And how did he do that?
By name and by photograph from a driver's license and from a body camera.
What was the address for this storage unit?
475 Horton Drive in the city of Roswell, Fulton County.
Were you post certified at the time of this investigation?
I was.
You were going into, did you receive a warrant to enter into the storage unit?
I did.
And did you enter into the storage unit?
I did.
What was in the storage unit?
Within the storage unit, it appeared as though it was the items described by the confidential source as being newer furniture items still in packaging, along with several totes. As far as narcotics, I'll have to read it from my warrant. There were several different narcotics located.
Can you please, as you discussed the narcotics, can you please say the narcotic, the weight and how it's packaged, please?
Yes, there were approximately 59.7 pounds of marijuana. The marijuana was packaged. The majority of it was in several different glass jars within several different cases within the storage unit. There were 5.4 grams of fentanyl that was in a plastic bag, 130.5 grams of crystal methamphetamine that were packaged in different bags and storage containers, such as like the plastic 4-ounce Rubbermaid storage containers. There were 253 grams of blue pills, some marked M30 and some marked M15, 25 grams of yellow pills, 12.3 grams of orange pills, 60 grams of another pill that we suspected to be alprazolam. There were edible mushrooms. There were like a prepackaged, they were sold over the counter or over the dark web that had 53.1 grams. It was a chocolate edible. I believe that was it. And there was a firearm also. A lot of the pills were located within a Sentry safe located within one of the totes.
And you said it was, in regards to the pills, the blue pills, I believe you said it was blue pills and pink pills. Is that correct?
There were blue pills, yellow pills, orange pills. We did not charge at the time for the pills. They were sent to the GBI crime lab and I did get those results. So there will be another warrant pending.
And in regards to your warrant, it is the trafficking. And it was for which drugs was for the 3 different warrants, please?
The warrants were for the marijuana, the fentanyl, and the crystal methamphetamine for the trafficking and possession with intent, crack cocaine that was also located. I believe it was 18.9 grams of crack cocaine.
And how did you verify who was the owner of the storage unit?
Mr. Villanueva, during multiple contacts, advised our confidential source that that was his storage unit. And the confidential source met with them there on multiple occasions, as well as the employee at the public storage who identified the storage unit as belonging to a Mr. Jesus Villanueva.
Did you speak with Mr. Villanueva at any point during this investigation?
Not on this date. We did execute a search warrant the following day in Cobb County, and I did speak with him the next day after the search warrant at the storage unit.
And did you learn, what did you learn during that, during talking with Mr. Villanueva?
Not a lot. He didn't deny narcotics. At the same time, he did not, he didn't want to talk much. He was cooperative, but didn't talk much.
What is the procedure that Roswell have once illegal narcotics are seized?
Once the narcotics were seized, we photographed them where they were located. They were then transported back to the Roswell Police Department, where they were again photographed, weighed, and field tested for the narcotics that we were able to field test. At that time, they were packaged and secured in an evidence locker.
And was that done in regards to this case?
It was.
And do you see Mr. Villanueva in the courtroom at this time?
I do.
Can you please describe an article of clothing he is wearing?
Blue jumpsuit.
May the court recognize he has positively identified the defendant?
Noted.
Were you all able to? No further questions at this time.
All right, Cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning, Officer Reese.
Good morning.
Were the control buys done by the same confidential informant?
The control buys, yes, the same confidential informant.
So each of the 7 control buyers?
Yes.
Thank you. And where was Mr. Villanueva arrested?
He was arrested at 2030 Roswell Road in Cobb County in his hotel room during the execution of a search warrant.
And that would be the in-town suites?
Yes.
And was anyone arrested with Mr. Villanueva?
His girlfriend and resident of the room, Miss Amanda Worth.
And were any drugs found on his person when he was arrested?
I don't recall if they were on his person, but they were in his room. I don't recall on his person or not.
So there were additional drugs that were found inside of his actual hotel room?
Yes, and those warrants were obtained in Cobb County.
Was the marijuana tested?
Field tested.
And was it sent to the GBI?
No, the GBI does not test our marijuana. We have in-house testing.
Okay. And was the meth tested?
It was field tested.
Is that also done in-house or is that sent to the GBI?
It was sent to the GBI. I have those results back now and it was positive for methamphetamine.
Was the cocaine tested?
Field tested and GBI and positive for cocaine.
Do you know the purity of the cocaine?
I can refer to the report and see if it's in there. I don't believe they give a purity. It's just a coverage probability of 99.73%.
So there's not a purity percentage on that?
The
Okay.
GBI does not provide a purity.
And was the fentanyl tested
Both in-house and GBI, and it tested positive for fentanyl.
and the methamphetamine?
Yes, both.
And that's GBI and in-house?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, anything else on direct? Where's Mr. McCauley?
It looks like he dropped off.
Sorry, I don't know how to get in touch with him. I just emailed him.
Okay.
And I was writing notes down on a piece of paper, so I don't see when he even dropped off. Mr. Rhodes,
Yes, Judge.
Mr. McCauley gets back. So that deputy is transporting an inmate for Forsyth County and come back so he could be here for like the 1 o'clock calendar. Do you want to hear both those cases at one?
I guess so. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I don't think you have anything at one on there, do you?
No.
Yeah, so I mean, so when he gets back on, we'll just make sure that he knows or I don't know, we got the one officer's here. I don't want that officer to wait. So no, at least the one he can hear it at one. We'll hear the other one. All right, come on, Mr. McCauley. Mr. McCauley.
I apologize, Your Honor. I got kicked out. I'm back.
I don't even know when you dropped out because I was writing notes.
Yes, I was actually closing my direct examination, Your Honor. So
Wait.
I
You dropped off after your direct, so you didn't hear any of the cross?
I did not hear any of the cross. As soon as I was about to say I am done questioning the witness, that's when I went out, Your Honor.
Why me? Why me? Why me?
Oh.
I don't know what the easiest thing. I don't want to make her have to ask him again. I don't know if the court reporter can read it back. If that'll be easier, Madam Court Reporter, is that too complicated?
Well, and you know what, Your Honor, and just because it was my internet that went.
No, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, Madam Court Reporter, is it easier for you to?
Actually, no.
No.
I mean,
okay.
I mean,
No. I know some
yeah.
type in the shorthand, some have the.
Yeah, I am.
Your Honor, in candor to the court, I'm not sure what was stated during cross-examination. I apologize to the court for my internet.
I mean, I guess you have to go through it again.
Good morning, Officer Reese.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Were the control buys done by the same confidential informant?
They were.
Objection, Your Honor. I asked that we not any way identify the confidential informant. It could have been multiple ones for the safety of the public and the safety of the confidential informant.
Kennebrew?
Your Honor, we didn't ask for any identifying factors other than whether or not the buys were done by the same person.
And that is a way to identify them, because it could have been more than one. If it's the same person, I do not want to identify them, even if it is the same person.
Unfortunately, it's already been asked and answered, Your Honor. We didn't know that the state was no longer there.
All right. Go ahead.
Where was Mr. Villanueva arrested?
At 2030 Roswell Road, the in-town suites in Cobb County.
Was there anyone else arrested with Mr. Villanueva?
His girlfriend and a resident of the room with him, Miss Amanda Worth.
Were any drugs found on his person?
I don't remember if they were on his person or not, but they were in his room.
Was the marijuana tested?
Field tested in-house,
Was the methamphetamine tested?
field tested, and the GBI positive for meth.
And those, the meth was sent to the GBI, correct? Thank you. Was the cocaine tested?
Field tested and GBI and tested positive for cocaine.
And then I asked, what was the purity of the cocaine?
GBI does not provide purity, only a probability of 99.73%.
Was the fentanyl tested?
In-house and GBI tested positive for fentanyl.
And was the methamphetamine tested?
In-house and GBI tested positive for methamphetamine.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else?
No redirect for me, Your Honor. I ask that the officer be released.
Anything else, Ms. Kennebrew?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, officer.
Thank
Good
you.
time for part 1 and part 2. Thank you. All right, go ahead with the argument, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. The officer gave a great testimony in regards to this. He was aware with the control buys. He was able to identify the actual defendant, and the confidential source was able to identify the defendant. He was able to go ahead and determine that the defendant was the owner of the actual storage unit, and buys did occur with at the actual storage unit, Your Honor. I ask that the court find for probable cause for all charges that is before the court at this time.
Ms. Kennebrew.
We submit to the testimony, Your Honor.
All right, I'll find probable cause on 3 counts of trafficking and 1 VGSA possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2. We will go ahead. Let's see. Right now we've got, as of March the 30th, there is a bond that was set, and I think it's, hold on, now it's spinning. $80,000 good bond. Free.
Your Honor, the defendant has 30 cycles beginning in 1993. He is a multi-state offender with arrests from the states of California, Delaware, and Georgia. Last arrest was February of 2021 from Cherokee County for a violation of probation. Record also indicates 2 prior felony convictions outside the 10-year period, a 2015 felony conviction from Cherokee County for aggravated assault and terroristic threats. There's an open case to Judge Edie for battery family violence, 2 FTAs and 5 violations of probation. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Kennebrew.
Your Honor, Mr. Villanueva is 50 years of age. He does have 3 children. He is also married. He has completed the 11th grade. He was working in construction prior to being incarcerated. He has been a Georgia resident for over 25 years with a valid address in Roswell, Georgia. We are asking for a reasonable bond not to exceed $60,000 in this case.
Yeah.
Mr. McCauley, I want to hear some numbers. Give me some numbers.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes. Your Honor, the concern I have in regards to this case is not just the case itself. It's the amount of drugs that was there. It was the amount that was there. It was the amount that was found. It was the amount that was in his home, and it was the amount that he had within his possession. Also, we have multiple citizens walking into the police department discussing what's going on because of the defendant, Your Honor. And not only that, we have 7 to 8 overdoses because of the drugs that he is putting on the street and killing our neighbors, killing our citizens, and killing the residents of Fulton County, Your Honor. Your Honor, I think this is an egregious act. I think it's a knowing act. And I think because of his actions, he is actually responsible for 7 to 8 overdoses. Your Honor, I will say that with that information, I'm not sure if the court was aware of the overdoses that occurred in regards to this case, but because of the overdoses, Your Honor, in regards to the first trafficking in illegal drugs, I will ask for a bond of $150,000. For the second trafficking in illegal drugs, I will ask for a bond of $200,000. And that one is directly related to the fentanyl, and the fentanyl was laced, Your Honor. So that's why it's for the increase in regards to that one. In regards to the third one, I will ask for $100,000 also. And in regards to the possession of controlled substance in Schedule 1 or 2, I will ask for a $20,000 bond. Your Honor, the defendant is responsible for death in our community, Your Honor. And I think I am concerned about not only the safety of the community for the citizens of the community, and if released, he will commit additional felonies up to and including the citizens of Fulton County, as he has already done.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. Kimberly.
These are just allegations, Your Honor. My client is presumed to be innocent. He's not charged with 7 to 8 murders or involuntary manslaughters or anything like that. These overdoses have not tracked back to him. There could be other people, or we're not even claiming that he is a drug provider, Your Honor. So what we're asking is for the court to set a reasonable bond. Again, he is presumed innocent. He has been in custody for over 150 days. This is just now becoming the preliminary hearing on the 150th day. He hasn't been indicted. If he is a danger to the community, as Mr. McCauley has stated, they can move the case along and do what they want with it. We're just asking for the reasonable bond to be set. If you're not inclined to reduce the bond, we're asking that the bond remain the same. He's indigent. He is unable to actually bond out, which is why he has remained in custody for 150 days.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have a GPS monitoring, teletrix. You got the wording for that, right, Ms. Miller?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, teletrix GPS monitor, paid for by the ORCA project with a 24-hour curfew. Court, medical, and lawyer. Employment, as long as he supplies the name of his employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location he's going to be working. You have supplied that to Ms. Kennebrew and to the ankle monitoring company. Stay away from 475 Horton Drive. The whole complex there, but especially A1303 in Roswell, Georgia. Mr. McCauley, were there any co-defendants? I know I didn't note any in the warrants. Are there any
I
co-defendants?
didn't see any, and I'll look again, Your Honor. I do not recall there being any, but give me one moment.
All right, let's see. Count 1, 100,000. Count 2, 200,000. Count 3, 100,000. Count 4, $20,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And to answer the court's question, I do not see any co-defendants at this time, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. So we got, we can hear the one case for JB Brown LT or Bernard Crocker, whichever one you want to bring up.
Bernard.
All right, Bernard Crocker. You're gonna bring Bernard Crocker, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. The officer that's here for Bernard Crocker can come on up to witness stand. All right, officer, if you raise your right hand, do you swear for testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, if you just state your name and spell it for the court reporter, please.
Can you say it again?
I'm sorry.
I couldn't hear you.
Can you state your name and spell it for the court reporter, please?
Officer Robert Bell, or ROBERTBELL.
All right, sir, you put your hand down. We'll just stand by until we get the defendant out here. Ms. Gaston, I saw the email. That's good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I want to apologize to the court, Ms. Kennebrew again. I apologize for my internet going out momentarily. I didn't know that I did the whole cross-examination. My apologies.
That's okay. I mean, I was writing notes on the calendar, so I didn't even look up. He had bond addressed on April the 14th, but same thing, Ms. Kennebrew. We can address it if you want.
I think we'll leave the bond status alone, Your Honor.
Okay. Don't let the other one scare you, Ms. Kennebrew.
It's not, I'm scared. He's just in a good position. We'll leave him there. And I'm not his attorney.
Mr. McCauley, the deputy for JB Brown on the removing the electronic monitor device
Yeah.
is transporting an inmate to Forsyth, and I've told Mr. Rhodes, so he'll come back and have Mr. JB Brown on the 1 o'clock calendar for just that one case on position 3.
Okay. So
Judge,
we that one to position 3, no problem. And that we usually don't see that one on here, Your Honor. I wasn't sure. When I saw that, I know we usually have a docket just for that. Is that correct, Your Honor?
Well, the bond was revoked, then I gave it a bond, so now they charged him with it.
Got it.
What'd you say, LT?
we're gonna need about 5 minutes for Crocker because he was on Judge, in 2B as well.
Okay, so you want to bring the JB Brown then?
Okay.
And Your Honor, we would like to be heard on bond for Crocker. My apologies. There's a note in the file.
Okay, all right.
I have to wait for the deputy to come back.
Okay, well, just let us know which one you can. Whoever you can get up. Let me step away. I'll be right back.
Ms. Watts, are you in the courtroom at this time?
I am.
I just put my phone number in the chat. Can you please provide it to the officer while the judge has stepped away? I need to
Okay.
speak with him. Thank you, Ms. Watts.
No problem.
Officer, can you step outside and call me, please?
Just a-
Okay.
We got Crocker out. Just.
He just stepped out, I guess, to call the. And just. We're gonna adjust your line. Right now you have the 5,000 students. Okay, so we're just gonna ask some questions of the office. Yeah, so the.
This is. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, we get anything right now, but hold on a minute. Madam Clerk. Ms. Clerk.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
at 1 o'clock, are we back in 1A? Yes. Okay, we'll be in 1A at 1 o'clock. Yeah, 1A. Oh. Yes. I heard. At what time? We go together. Hmm? I didn't get a lot. You need a line up. So that ain't it.
So that,
No, I ain't telling my business. You got it wrong, but you like, no, ma'am, throw it away. But we had it Sunday, and so I ate turkey sandwiches Monday and Tuesday. That's not bad. Yeah, I did.
You could shit, no ma'am. Monday and
I
Tuesday is fine. Wednesday, you Thursday, no, you crossing over on the line and you sick.
right, so I threw all the, pheasant, turkey, all that food out yesterday.
Well, you could have closed it on like Monday.
I know, and I didn't.
You know, you shouldn't go past 2 days.
I checked the website, it said 3 to 4 days. So I was right on the board. Especially after talking about it to my judge, look at that, see what Google say about it.
Right, I'll let you go. You sick. Go.
Oh, yeah, pizza. Oh, where? Oh, Slim and Husky. That sounds good. Have you had that? Oh, you know. Childish. I'm really not a pizza person. I'll eat it. I don't like Oz pizza. Oz. Still here in Georgia. It's in there. In that area. It should be. For some reason, 85 coming more. Because I'll buy that. It's not. It's not more.
If you're the South, we can have the maze area. Maze, like the new maze and stuff, it's safe. It's a street maze. Oh, yeah. So look over in that area. And they have, it's a lot of older people that live in those areas. Yeah, but they have like land and so it's good little areas.
Those are older homes, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, they- yeah. So you know what a Renaissance Festival is? You know what that's been here there?
What's the, look, now I gotta Google.
It starts this weekend. They have good food over there. But I live right in that area.
I know, on my out loud.
But I'm moved.
Okay. Oh, I like that area. Okay, yeah, no. And you gotta repeat it out loud after she can go.
I'm moving next week. Yeah, to the north.
I bet they do.
What you do, flash your badge? It's raggedy. Oh, yeah.
I apologize, everyone. I had attorneys in a that needed to ask me a question. All right, so we've got Mr. Crocker.
Yes, and Your Honor, I have two announcements before the court. I just want to make sure, in regards to position number 3, Your Honor, that was JB Brown with Officer Eason. I'm looking through the subpoenas again, and I just want to make sure I'm not misleading the court. I don't personally see the subpoena for Officer Eason. My investigator is looking as of right now. So I just want to make sure that I'm always honest and transparent in regards to the court. So they're letting me know, they're looking again. I'm just making sure that the person was subpoenaed. And I just wanted to make sure that we had on the record. They're looking again, and just to confirm that, okay, Your Honor.
Okay, so is that the deputy that you need? Because the deputy's going to be there at 1.
Yes, the deputy is going to be there at 1, but I don't want to say that the officer was subpoenaed and they wasn't subpoenaed by our office.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Here we go.
And-
Go ahead. Sorry.
And also, in regards to this case right here, it is 2 different charges on this case, Your Honor. And it is the first charge is
If you let me set the case up for the court reporter, 22 CP 214367 Bernard Crocker, 206 days without indictment. There's a $5,250 good bond as of March the 14th. We got theft by shoplifting and bringing drugs into the jail. All right, go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. We are ready to proceed in regards to the case, in regards to bringing drugs into the jail. It is another officer, Officer Foreman. Officer Foreman was the warrant writing officer for the theft by shoplifting, Your Honor. Officer Foreman is not here. Officer Foreman was not subpoenaed for the actual hearing, Your Honor. And in regards to it is because, and I would like to apologize to the court. Sometimes when we have we see a warrant, I think it could possibility of assuming that it was the same officer for both.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
I'm asking for a reset in regards to the theft by shoplifting case, Your Honor. And I am ready to go ahead and move forward in regards to the bringing drugs into the jail, Your Honor.
Ms. Kennebrew.
Your Honor, I see that there was a reset. I'm just trying to figure out which charge was there a reset for. If it was for the theft by shoplifting from the 31st, then we would be objecting another reset. We will be asking for a dismissal for warrant of prosecution. And if it's not, then we wouldn't object.
So I don't know why it was reset, it just said for officer to appear. So now I don't know which one.
Hush, please give me a moment.
Yeah, it's a live microphone, sir. So do you know the officer that you need for the theft by shoplifting?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. It will be Officer Foreman, Your Honor. And I will reach out to our investigator who will be notifying them of the reset today, if it is reset, Your Honor.
I don't know which officer it was reset for. All right, how long do you need?
A minimum of at least a week, Your Honor. I'm not trying to delay it too long, Your Honor. Whenever your next open date is, I'll make sure that the officer is here.
Ms. Kennebrew.
Your Honor, again, this isn't my case. I'm covering for Attorney Pinto. Again, we would be requesting a dismissal for warrant of prosecution. However, if the court is inclined to reset it, I don't know what date she would be available.
Okay. All right. Give me a date, Miss Watts, please.
Okay. April 25th at 9 a.m.
All right, that's just on the theft by taking. I mean, theft by shoplifting.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so, and this is the correct officer for bringing drugs into the jail.
Yes, it is. It's Officer Bell, and we're ready to proceed in regards to this portion of in regards to that charge. Yes, I'm ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. McCauley.
Yes. Officer, where are you currently employed?
East Point Police Department.
And were you employed with them on September the 16th, 2022?
Yes, I was.
And how did you become aware of Bernard Crocker?
I was dispatched to the jail on September 16th in regards to taking him to Grady Hospital.
And what happened next after you made it to the jail?
Once I made it to the jail, I was sitting in the booking office and they were bringing him up. The jail staff was bringing him up. Once the jail staff brought him up, I think he had some shoes on or something like that. And one of the jail officers said that he had some drugs, some baggies that fell out of his shoe.
Do you know which officer? Do you know which officer that you spoke with who told you about the drugs in the shoe?
He was a Sergeant Anderson.
Did Sergeant Anderson see the drugs fall out of his shoe?
She saw the baggies fall out of his shoe. And then he had something in his hand as well that he didn't want to show us.
Was you eventually able to see what was in his hand?
Yes, he resisted from opening his hand. I asked him, gave him several verbal commands to open his hand. He didn't open his hand. And then we ended up getting in a tussle, and then he eventually dropped what was in his hand.
And what was in his hand?
It was approximately a baggie. He had something folded up, an ibuprofen, and I believe another bag that had either suspected marijuana or suspected crack inside of it.
At the time, what is this address that you responded to?
2727 East Point Street, East Point, Georgia.
What county is that in?
Fulton.
What building is this?
The East Point Jail.
And was there any video recording of any of this interaction?
They believe the jail cameras recorded it.
Did you have body cam on at the time of this interaction?
At the time, no.
During this interaction, what was any evidence sent in?
Submitted to the GBI submission form. I don't have it with me, the results from the lab.
What is the process that East Point have in regards to when illegal drugs are confiscated?
When we confiscate, we document it, do a case number, and submit in the evidence with the GBI submission form. Then it's sent off to the GBI crime lab.
And was that done in regards to this case?
Yes.
Can you please tell me about any training you had in regards to illegal drugs?
I didn't have training. So we started a supervisor who was possibly DEA, worked for DEA in the past.
Were you post certified at the time of this arrest?
Yes.
And do your post certification, do you receive any training in regards to illegal drugs?
Yes.
Are you able to inform the court of what the weight of for the drugs that was obtained?
I cannot.
What did you suspect was in his shoe or in his hand?
Suspected either marijuana or a used baggie of some white substance.
Did you speak with Mr. Crocker during this investigation?
We attempted to, yes.
And was you able to go ahead and speak with him?
Yes, he said it wasn't any drugs, but that's all he told me.
Did you smell the suspected? Did you smell the suspected marijuana?
No.
Why did you assume that the product was marijuana?
Due to it being in a red baggie, which a lot of marijuana is sold in, which is why we sent off GBI.
How did it look?
It's kind of brownish, like it kind of was crushed up a little bit.
Just brownish. Is it anything other than brownish?
Like a brownish, like in a blunt wrapper. Instead of a red baggie.
Okay. What was the size of the red baggie?
Trying to think of a way to describe it. It's in a, I guess you could say a dime bag, I guess.
And was the red bag in his pocket or in his shoe?
The red bag that he initially dropped was in a shoe, I believe. And then he had another one in his hand that he didn't want to open his hand up and show us what was in his hand.
And do you see Mr. Bernard Crocker Jr. in the courtroom at this time?
Everybody
Yes, I do.
remove your masks.
Remove your mask.
Yes.
Can you please describe an article of clothing he is wearing?
He's wearing an orange jumpsuit with a white shirt beneath it.
May the court recognize that he has positively identified the defendant?
Noted, Mr. Crocker, it's a live mic. Don't talk.
You gotta wait. You have a great show on my mask.
Yep, don't talk. It's a live mic. All right, go ahead.
Oh, no problem.
Noted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You can put your mask back on.
And what part of the jail did this occur in?
Towards the front near intake.
And no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Kennebrew.
Yes, Your Honor. Hello, Officer Bell. What is the policy for searching defendants prior to them coming to jail?
Supposed to be searched thoroughly, take off the shoes, then they walk through the salad board, not the salad board, walk through a metal detector to make sure as well.
Now, when you interacted with Mr. Croker, was he through the metal detector?
He was already booked in.
He was already booked in. So you stated that you did not wear your body cam on direct. Is that correct?
Correct.
And well, I guess that's another officer. Were you aware of how many times Mr. Crocker had been searched prior to arriving at the jail?
No.
Were you aware if the patrol vehicle that Mr. Crocker was brought in was searched before he was placed inside?
No.
Now, on direct, you testified that Mr. Crocker dropped a baggie in his hand of ibuprofen and something else that was suspected of potentially crack. Is that correct?
Correct.
So the baggie of the ibuprofen, do you know how many pills were inside of there or what that looked like?
I believe it was one white ibuprofen tablet.
And was that tablet crushed or was it a whole tablet?
I believe one of them was crushed and one was either one whole or 3/4 of one.
And you stated that you were dispatched to take Mr. Croker to Grady. Why was he going to Grady?
He had a medical issue, I believe a hematoma that was on his back that he had prior to coming to the jail.
And were you aware of how long he had been in the jail prior to you being dispatched there?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Can you redirect?
No redirect at this time, Your Honor.
Anything else for this officer?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Stay healthy and safe.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead with the argument, Mr. McCauley.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, he was at the East Point Jail, Your Honor. This was actually captured on the jail video at the time, Your Honor. They had to call back out the East Point officer. He has something not only in his shoe, but also in his pocket. And of course, with the East Point Jail, he knew he was in jail at that time. He tried to go ahead and secret it away. He had something in his shoe. He had something in his pocket. The officer was able to testify that the other officers saw him trying to go ahead and get rid of the red bag in his shoe, and he also would not hold his hand open. That shows that he had the intent to keep and have possession of the drugs or possible tobacco products inside. By that time, he was in the intake division, Your Honor. As he is in the intake division, that means he is going through that process. He knows he is about to be he's inside of a jail, and he did not have the right. He did not have a right to go ahead and have the products that he did have on him, Your Honor. The officer was able to identify him as a person with the marijuana, and also was able to identify the East Point Jail as the venue within Fulton County that this happened at, Your Honor. I ask that you find probable cause for this charge.
Kinnebrew.
Your Honor, we'd be requesting that you not find PC on bringing drugs into the jail. The officer testified under oath that he did not identify the drugs to be marijuana. The officer testified and under oath he did not identify the drugs to be marijuana. He stated that it was found in a red baggie that a lot of weed is sold inside of. He also stated that whatever the substance was, it was brownish and crushed up a little bit. He stated that he didn't smell marijuana. He also admitted to not having training in drugs, Your Honor. So we're asking that there not be probable cause found with the bringing drugs into the jail. Additionally, he stated that the policy for searching defendants prior to arriving at the jail is that they're searched thoroughly, they take their shoes off, they go through a metal detector, which our client had done prior to these drugs being found on him. So we're asking that there not be PC found for bringing drugs into the jail.
Anything else, Mr. McCauley?
Yes, Your Honor. The officer did go ahead and he did testify that it wasn't only him, it was another officer there. And also he did testify that he, through his post training, he did have illegal narcotics training, Your Honor, and he was post certified at that time.
He did have somebody who was allegedly worked with the DEA. I'll find probable cause on bringing guns in the jail. It's already got a $250 good bond, Ms. Kennebrew. So I guess when they come back on the other one, it can be addressed bond because either that cop will show up on the theft by shoplifting or not, and it'll be dismissed. Is that okay?
That's fine, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Stay safe. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. JB Brown, best of luck to you, sir.
Bring you back on the 25th for the deadline, chapter 19. We go bring our chief.
JB Brown, the last one. And it's just, and Madam Court Reporter, it'll just be position 2 for JB Brown because 3, the deputy should be here at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
What about position 8?
That was an ex parte.
But there's an ex parte, that one's reset. And so is Johnson. Yeah, Xavier Johnson. That was also reset for July. I don't know if they brought Johnson over.
Yeah, he came.
All right, let's see. Is the officer in there for this one?
No, Your Honor, that is the officer that is in training right now, Your Honor. For position number 2 with JB Brown, the officer is Matthew Gordon with the APD.
I thought he was. Is he not coming though?
He's not able to make it because he's in training, Your Honor.
Sorry, Mr. Rhodes. I shouldn't have even made you sit there. Let's see, 22 CP 213459, 171 days without indictment, theft by receiving stolen property. APD training. The other day, yesterday, somebody came all the way from Gypstick, from Forsyth, Georgia, testified and went back. So I'm just.
Yes, Your Honor. I made personal contact with Matthew Gordon last night with APD. Informed him, reminded him of the actual hearing, and let him know that that he informed me of training, and he said he has been in training, and his training was supposed to be done today, and he said he would not be coming to court because he is in training at the time.
So he's with APD. What is APD, your liaison, the policy on APD as far as if they have training? And I mean, I know when I was a cop, you missed so many, in-service training hours, but what are they?
In regards to, and it would depend in regards to what the training is. I will have to have my investigator here, but for my belief, my understanding is we had to have an approved leave for like a vacation or something of that sort. We would like to have an approved notice in regards to the training. Do we have an approved notice in regards to this training? Not that I know of, Your Honor. But what I do know is that is our policy, that we would like an approved notice of the training before we can go ahead and let the court know that it has been previously approved. According to the officer, he had already informed his sergeant, and his sergeant was already aware of this. Was the necessary paperwork done? At this time, we do not have it in our possession, but that is our policy. And I know our investigator might can speak to it a little bit more, but that's the policy as I understand it.
Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Is this mic on? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Judge, we would oppose any reset on this case. We don't have any, I guess, verifiable proof that that officer is on any sort of approved leave. So with that, Judge, we would ask for a dismissal for want of prosecution.
So when's the officer going to be available? It's 171 days.
Yes, Your Honor. He said his training is done as of today. I asked him yesterday, and he did not give me any dates that he would not be available.
I mean, I'm almost just curious if we should have let the poor deputy, instead of making Mr. Rhodes come back and just reset both cases. Mr. Rhodes, what would you like to do? I can still just hear bond on both.
I really have no preference in terms of when the preliminary hearing is scheduled, as long as it's sometime close.
Had you rather hear both of them the same day?
It would be preferable, yes.
Ms. Watts, what do we have close so that deputy's not, breaking neck to get back from Forsyth County? And
Okay, we can do April 25th at 9 a.m.
does that work for you, Mr. Rhodes? I don't know if you have first appearance or anything. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't have first appearance that day. I should be good.
Okay. 9 a.m. Does that work?
April 25th.
We said both
Yeah.
cases, correct?
Yeah, that's fine. And Mr. McCauley, that way you can just go ahead and tell the deputy, since the deputies. All right. We could just still hear bond on both of them. What about that, Mr. Noble? Mr. Rhodes.
Sure, Judge. We can.
All
do that.
right. We'll hear bond on position 2 and 3. This should be it for an LT. 22 CP 213459, 171 days without indictment, theft by receiving stolen property. JB Brown, then position 3, 22 CP 213460, 171 days without indictment. Unlawful to knowingly remove, destroy, circumvent operation of electronic monitoring device as required. And that's also JB Brown. Wow.
Your Honor, the defendant has 36 cycles beginning in 1992. Last arrest was July of 2022 from Fulton County for violation of probation. Underlying charges were theft by taking and second-degree burglary. Record also indicates 4 prior felony convictions outside the 10-year period. A 2014 felony conviction from Fulton County for sale of marijuana. 2018 felony conviction from Henry County for willful obstruction of law enforcement officer. 2019 felony conviction for interference with government property and possession of tools for the commission of a crime. And a 22 felony conviction, theft by taking, burglary second degree, criminal damage to property in the second degree. That was the violation of probation at last arrest. Record also indicates 5 FTAs and 10 violations of probation. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Looks like there's a $4,000 good bond, Mr. Rhodes, on position 2 and $8,000 on position 3. Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Judge. First, Mr. Brown does live at the address on file. That is in Atlanta, Georgia. He's been living there for the past 40 years. He is, of course, stably, a resident of the area. He's not a flight risk in that way. He has family as well, 7 children, all of them adults. He is himself 47 years old. 4 of his children live in Atlanta as well, so he does have local contacts. He's currently not working at the moment. He had just been released, I suppose, from incarceration not too long after he was rearrested, for this, the theft by receiving charge. He had not been able to obtain employment in that time. Judge, he cannot afford any bond for essentially that reason. He has no income to speak of. So, Judge, all I can ask for on behalf of Mr. Brown is that bond be reduced to somewhere around the $5,000 range in total for both cases, so that perhaps a bail assistance program could work with him to get him out.
Mr. McCauley?
Yes, Your Honor. What the state is concerned about is 2 things. He was recently released, and then he had the theft by receiving stolen property case, Your Honor. So we are concerned in regards to him reoffending and committing additional felonies also, Your Honor. And also, he has a charge before the court in regards to unlawful, annulling, remove, destroy, circumvent operation of electronic monitoring device as required, Your Honor. So as we are putting on the devices to ensure that he adhered to the conditions, it appears that he is trying to circumvent that, Your Honor. That is concern for that the state has, that as we are putting in conditions, he is trying to go to get around the conditions. And also, not only that, when he is released, he has picked up additional charges, Your Honor, with the concern with, will he return actually back to the court if he is trying to circumvent the electronic monitoring? And then also, will he actually commit additional felonies? That's just what I wanted on the record, Your Honor, and we will defer to the court in regards to the amount of bond.
All right, let's see. Position 2, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2836 Waters Road Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with Dallas Page, Paige. You're gonna have another ankle monitor paid for by the ORCA project with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. $3,500 good bond. Position 3, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Gonna have that ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you provide the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Let's see, and he lives at the, is it, wait a minute, I had it pulled up, the same that's on his Odyssey booking sheet, that's his address where he's gonna be living?
Yes, Judge. Altoview Drive.
Okay. What kind of work does he do?
He's currently unemployed right now.
Oh, I mean, before, what was he doing?
Yeah, he was doing carpet work, carpet cleaning.
Okay. $7,500 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
All right.
Okay.
Total.
I think that's it, right? Is everybody?
That's it, Your Honor.
But yeah, your case will be recessed, I think, to April 25th,
Judge,
which is.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess, a
Brown
week and a
case,
half
is it gonna be
now.
further notice or should the
Wait,
deputy?
hold on. I can't, all I can hear is Mr. Rhodes.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's that. What'd you say, LT?
The Brown, well, the deputy, does he need to come or is it the other case further notice?
No, you can just tell him that the Macaulay's gonna give him a subpoena for the other date.
Okay.
Thank you very much, LT, also.
Yeah, tell that deputy, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you need anything else from me, Your Honor?
I don't think so. We need anything else? Ms. Watts?
No, that's it, Judge.
And just for confirmation, we will be in 1A this afternoon, right?
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
It'll be Judge Osby, and she already has the link. Thank you, Ms. Gordon.
Judge Manning, you're going to be missed. I mean, we did this all week.
I know, right? So she'll be here. It's just the one person, so.
Yeah, it's one person. It's a little, but
I know
and
that.
it should be one witness also. So
Okay, but that may make it easier for it.
it should be.
Okay. Thank you,
Your
Ms.
Honor. You have a good weekend.
All right, you too. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Gordon.
Good to see you, Judge.
You too. Ms. Miller, just let me know when you got the last one in.